So don't you cry, oh I could never let each moment created in time. Future. Okay, oh shit, I almost went. You almost saw a pedestrian accident. I wanted to do a year on from Future Past thing a while ago. And I kind of forgot about it, got caught up in some other stuff. And then I was reading the Cherry Ice Cream site, which is a site about the podcast. I don't know what came first, but that's a great oracle for information. If you're a fan and you haven't been over there, you should. The feeling was jealousy as I'm reading these like really exhaustive reviews of the albums. I'm like, I didn't know that. Like, why didn't I know that? Why I didn't know Who Do You Think You Are was about Warren. He didn't like him, huh? The other day I was talking about Warren, and I also said in the video, it was the video about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame thing. I also said that it could be, I didn't understand if there was a problem between them, because as I made a point to say, and I have before with Duran Duran videos, is that I don't care about their personal life. And I guess that extends to a point to inter-band conflicts, except stuff I pick up on just from watching documentaries or something. So I didn't know that there was even any kind of static between Warren and Simon that was substantial until I started reading around that site. I guess he, and immediately, and this ties into the other kind of content I do here, I just saw what the situation was. It just kind of revealed itself to me. He looks at Simon, and his relationship with Simon is the way his relationship was with Dale. He sees Simon as like a Dale-like figure, and just went to this default position of the kind of relationship that they had, because they had a kind of contentious relationship. I have some friends that were in that band, Missing Persons, some of the later lineups, and Dale seems, from what I never met her, but from what I get from them, she's kooky but has a big heart. You know what I mean? You can kind of get that probably from her from interviews and stuff. But Warren, I guess, was very controlling. And he used to kind of, in a way, and Simon touches upon this in Who Do You Think You Are, he used to kind of resent the attention that Dale got, because he was the songwriter. He was the guy that did the work. And he saw Dale as a bit ditzy, and like, you know, he always harbored that sort of, you know, if these people only knew I'm the real secret king. And I think he just kind of grafted that relationship onto him and Simon. This is based on nothing except what just came across my transom. Sometimes that happens with stuff, and it has a lot to do with the other divinity stuff I talk about usually on this channel, where you'll look at something. I call it the IKEA furniture scenario, where you get something from IKEA and you dump all the parts, right, on the floor, and then you get the instructions, and suddenly you just look at the instructions and you look at the pile of pieces, and you're like, I know how this goes. I don't need this. Okay, here's what's happening. It's kind of like revealed to you sometimes when you look at stuff. It shows you the invisible parts of a situation. I could be wrong, you know, but this is what I got instinctually from this thing. It spells it out. It's weird. I can't describe how this shit happens, but it's like, it's fear. It's fear power. It's fucking like clairvoyancy or something. I don't know what it is, but a lot of people have it, and you know, I discuss it here quite a bit, usually, in non-Duran Duran content. But so yeah, Simon became his new Dale. And Simon, from what I picked up on just as years of being a fan, like, he seems pretty laid back, amiable. He's not the guy to rock the boat. He's the lukewarm water a lot of times between the controller and John, or the controller and Andy in the older days. You see a bit of that on the bus during Three to Get Ready when they're discussing going to a party. Simon is the, like, whatever makes everybody happy, let's just all work this out. So sometimes when you have that kind of personality, and I've been in that situation in the past because I tend to hew that way too, people take it, they don't want to take advantage of it, or they may not need to take advantage of it, but they do take advantage of it because they think, well, someone's got to drive the bus, you know. So that's what that situation said to me. I didn't even know what was happening, though. Like, I didn't know that was a thing until I read about it, Cherry Ice Cream, and then I went there, and I just looked at the pieces, right? Like, you look at the pieces like IKEA furniture, and then it all just shows you in your mind. And then, you know, you figure he was around them in '86, but he didn't really have any input musically. I mean, he was probably on the Notorious and Big Thing tours. He was probably in the crew bus, you know. He wasn't one of the celebrity members that were getting interviews. So then when he became a member, they were at their lowest point creatively. They didn't know what to do. These guys just got the ultimate mixed message. You know, it's like going on a date and having the person look at their phone the whole time, right? And then at the end of the date, they're like, yes, when do you want to do this again? It's like, what? They spent half a decade, they lived half a decade with people telling them they were gods. They were special people, they were great, they were the greatest, blah, blah, blah. Screaming fans, they can't walk downstairs to go get a coffee without being attacked. They went from that extreme high in a very short period of time right to, oh, you guys are not cool, you're has-beens, you're washed up, like that. Like in the span of a year. They sped this process along themselves by taking what could have been their biggest year in 1985 and flushing it down the fucking toilet with side projects. It's the attitude that a lot of bands get. Sometimes you get to the top of the mountain and you think, okay, well, we're just here forever now, so what should we do? Well, let's try every whim that we have musically to do this, and I'm gonna, you know, make a solo album. Yeah, we're gonna do that. You have a point when the iron is hot. You got to keep striking and try to stay there as long as you can. In a lot of ways, I mean, and they were new to this. They were kids. So in a lot of ways, it's like they probably felt like, oh, we made it to the top of the mountain. Good. It's like, no, you got to keep going. If you have good stuff, do it now. Can you imagine if So Red the Rose marketed as a Duran Duran album, including the track Some Like It Hot? You know what I mean? Like that would keep them afloat for another, you know, maybe 5 years. That would have cemented, because they got to the top, right? But they didn't build a house. They fucking made a tent, and then decided, you know, they were gonna start going out and doing stuff. It's like, no, make the house first. Make a nice, solid house, then go out and do stuff. 1985 could have been that year, but the breaking up to do different solo projects diluted the brand, was confusing to the fans, and it's too bad because they had some great music. So Red the Rose is my favorite Duran Duran album, and I know that drives people nuts when they hear it. I'll probably get a comment here about not a Duran Duran album. It's like, all right, literal, all right, Mr. Literal. I know that, right? Obviously, but it is. It's like, it's Duran Duran when Nick gains full control. Because he was always the conceptual kind of art rock, ornate kind of synth thing, and that was always kind of balanced, at least on the first couple albums, by Andy's heavy metal guitar, right? By the time Ragged Tiger came out, Andy was kind of sidelined through some of that process. He came in, he left early, it wasn't working. Him and Nick weren't getting along. So what you have is more of the ornate sort of art rock synth stuff on that album. That's why it didn't work as well as a Duran Duran album, I don't think. I mean, they've never touched as far as a cohesive thing. Like John always says, like, we came out fully formed. We didn't have to find who we are. over 3 albums. They came out fully formed. They had that formula. It could only get better. In the case of Rio, it had all hands on deck. That was, and it's looked at as the height of their recording career. And I have to agree. Although I personally think, well, maybe not. I was going to say So Red the Rose is a better album. It's not. It's probably not. Rio is the one. But yeah, Ragged Tiger really dropped the ball. They really dropped the ball with that one. I like Cracks in the Pavement. I like Seven Stranger. There's just not enough guitar on there. And the guitar on there isn't all that substantial. I mean, there's a little riff, like in Union of the Snake. It's just not as hard driving as it was on the American mixed version of Rio. I should point that out, because it's a different thing. So without him, you become dangerously close to just like being Icehouse or something, or like Aha, or any of the many bands that were kind of copying them in the wake of Rio. And yeah, and the effect of it was immediate. Like as far as the sound wise, it doesn't even. I can't say it doesn't. It sounds like a completely different band from Rio, but it's definitely a different thing. But Nick took that, right? He took the Seven Son. I'm getting them mixed up with Iron Maiden. Seven the Ragged Tiger. He bettered that with So Red the Rose, which is great, and has good guitar parts on there from all kinds of different people. You know, David Gilmour's on there too. It's not crazy heavy rock guitar, but it's just enough so that we're not Icehouse. You know, I'm not saying like their songwriting is much more advanced, and lyrically, you really start to see regret in Simon for making the deal with the devil they did, questioning why he did it. How he can get out of it. You know, same old story is what happens. Yeah, although I talk about occult and esoteric subjects here mainly, and as well as the occasional Duran Duran thing. I don't mix them because it's kind of fucking depressing, especially if you're a fan. You'd be like, oh man, you don't want to hear that stuff. But that's really the first time you see it as blatant. There was some stuff mixed in after Rio. Tellingly, I mean, that shit wasn't there before Seven and the Ragged Tiger, because they hadn't really gotten big enough to have to be faced with these questions of, okay, if you want to continue your career, you have to run with these people, or you have to do this thing, or you know, the things you have to do to maintain success on that level. When you become a company, really, you're no longer a band that's just touring with people. You become a place of employment for, you know, upwards of hundreds, thousands of people sometimes. You become a corporation, and to maintain that, the economic power or the, you know, economic flow, financial flow, you know, you got to do some things. In that, enough about that. I'm not going to get down there, but you see that in the lyrics, though, and you know, with Andy's guitar on it, a song like "Keep Me in the Dark," that could have been. You know, that could have been a great radio single. Almost any one of them. Any one of the faster songs, anyway. Some of the slower material on there kind of reminds me of what they would do on Big Thing. Like the more kind of prog rock. It's art rock, sort of drifting into prog rock. It's the sounds of prog rock, but not as complex as prog rock. So it's, I guess, art rock. But, yeah, doing this, though, the So Red the Rose thing, and the Power Station. I like Power Station, but it's not a great album. It's not. The single is great. Bang a Gong's kind of fun. You know, there's also some catchy things there. Harvest for the World, nice little thing. But it's very slight at 8 songs, and it's not different enough to differentiate itself from a lot of the other stuff that is happening in the 80s. But so again, it goes into like, wow, if they had just lifted a couple of those tracks, put them on a So Red the Rose. You know, you call the album Arcadia. You know, Arena, Arcadia, have the same cover, right? Because it's kind of like a version, it's almost like a Rio cover. It's just all right there. It would have all been perfect. Would have been a huge tour. And they couldn't maintain the momentum that they had. But you have young people in the band and people who's people around them, hangers-on, looking for some reflected glory and maybe some coins. And that happens to every band. And then you have the little problems like between Nick and Andy about direction that just grow. They grow. And now with a lot of people, a lot of hangers-on, a lot of money on the line, it just makes that problem bigger because they feel the responsibility of keeping the ship running, Like, I know what's best, and no, I do. It's just too bad they couldn't get that together. But in their minds, like, when you have people 24 hours a day throwing themselves at you physically and emotionally, and your bank account is always full, you're going to start to think that you're incapable of making bad decisions. You're going to think everything you do is fucking fantastic. You just haven't thought about it yet. Like, I know this sounds stupid, but you just don't understand it yet because I haven't done it. But once I do it, you'll see it like, oh, yeah. You get that kind of thing. I mean, you got to remember 24, 25, some of these guys. It wasn't meant to last. So they torpedoed 1985. That was going to be the biggest year. I started this video to do a 1-year update on Future Past. And somehow we ended up here. I can't go into that now. It's like, this is going to be the Ben-Hur of Van Halen video. Van Halen, Duran videos. Where'd Van Halen get in? They snuck in there somewhere. So yeah, I'm going to have to put that one in the back burner, the Future Past. I'm going to do it soon. Because I'm like kind of into them a lot right now with everything going on. That's what I do with bands. Like, I just will click on one for a while and I'll just spend a couple weeks or a couple months or whatever just obsessing about them before I'm moving on to another one. But they come back in the rotation. That's how this all works. And right now, Duran has come up in the rotation because of the Rock Hall thing and all the stuff happening. So I'm reinvestigating their albums, and I really had a lot of not different thoughts about Future Past. I still love the album, but I'll make one soon about that. I don't know what this one is about. 1985, the year they fucking put, and to show what a great year it would have been was, and it was still a good year on paper for them, but artistically and musically, as building a block towards something greater, to maintaining their position, it was wasted. View to a Kill was like, it showed you what could have happened that year. It was just a little example of what they could have done had they, focused on being a band together and gotten over their petty shit. It could have been the building block for something much larger, and then brought them through to the end of the 80s with much more confidence and power. Instead, we get a dabbling into funk, which, even though I like Notorious, it sounds like a completely different band. The confusion of Big Thing, an album that I like, but it's very influenced by UK house and things that were going on at that time, like dance music. They abandoned their own sound. First, they watered it down, starting with Seven and the Ragged Tiger, and then they abandoned it. Because they had their sound. They had everything. They were fully formed, as John Taylor says. When they first came out, they were done. They're fully formed. So, I get that it's a problem. Like, where do you go from there? Do you keep... I would say, to make your fans happy, or I don't know, what made me happy, is to keep refining that sound. Just do that thing, but just do it better. Add elements to it that are different as it goes along. Instead of zigzagging, trying all these things. The reason they had the zigzag sound-wise is because they took that sound that they had that was great, that they were known for, and they distilled it. Distilled it. They lessened it by involving Andy less and having him not be that much of a part of the songwriting. Secret October, that was like even though it was a B-side, that was a complete studio creation just between Simon and Nick. They were kind of already doing Arcadia before Arcadia. So they fucked up their sound and they had to try to find a new one. And it wasn't until Warren Cucurullo started writing songs for them that he kind of gave them something to go off of, but they never returned to the way they wrote songs in the early 80s until after the reunion, you know. And I was reading the Cherry Ice Cream review of Astronaut. Excuse me. Yeah, they were right on with that. That was a complete fuck up. Especially all the time they had to do it too. But that's a whole nother story for a whole nother day. As apparently, I guess, is the future past 1 year out thing. So there's only so much time in a day. But I'm trying. Don't blame the teacher. Uh-oh. Was this blurry the whole time? I'm sorry, guys. Is this usable now? I don't know. If you're seeing it, I guess I deemed it usable. Don't blame the teacher, blame the school.